Well, good morning, everyone. My name is W.J. Miles. I'm your instructor for today's webinar, and Heather Collins
Hello.
is going to be answering your questions online. If you have any questions during today's session, please use the question panel located in the top right-hand corner of your screen. If you don't see the question pane there, you may have to hit the little orange arrow to open it up, and we'll do our best to answer all of your questions during today's presentation. Today's webinar is covering advanced features of Instanet solutions. But just to get started, what is Instanet? Instanet is a transaction management system. It's not a new system. It's new to us here in Netris, but over 500,000 realtors in the rest of the United States use the Instanet solutions. It has all of our legal documents in its libraries. It has electronic signature, which this system uses a system called Authentisign. Authentisign is not specific to real estate. It's used across industries and has some unique features to it that I'm going to share with you today. Instanet is a paperless storage system. It has broker approval built into it. It connects to other online sites like Google Drive, Dropbox, OneBox, Google Contacts, lots of systems like that. What does Instanet cost? You get access to the Instanet Solutions program by being a member of Netris, so there's no additional cost to it. You can use it anytime that you want to. So let's have some fun here with Instanet. You're seeing our website here right now. This is mymetrotex.com. If you click on the MLS login up here in the top center of the screen, it will take you to a page where you put in your license number and password, and then you'll get to the Netris portal. The Netris portal has lots of great systems here for you, and the one that we're going to be talking about today is Instanet. If you click on Instanet, that's going to take you to your agent dashboard in Instanet. Just to go over a few things here about how to drive it, here on the left-hand side, if you click on this little three lines, they refer to this as the hamburger icon. If you click on that, you'll see the main menu over here where you can get into the different sections of Instanet, and I'll be pointing out some of those there today. But we've got Transaction Desk, where all of our transactions are, Authentisign, which is the program that is used for electronic signature, all of your forms, your TAR and TREC and MetroTex forms are in libraries and InstaForms. DocBox is a document storage system. You have unlimited storage up here, so it gives you a place to keep all of your transactions safely there. Transaction Manager is a management system where you can keep track of all your milestone dates and things that you need to be doing during a transaction. If you are a broker, you'll have access to broker tools here. This has where you can review transactions there and approve documents for agents. Instafax is an actual fax system. I don't know many people faxing much these days, but this does work. Contacts is your contacts here in Instanet, and it can connect to your Google contacts and pull contacts over from there. Setup is where you go in to put in all your contact information and set up how you want the program to be. And then support, there are some support videos here and some webinars. So one of the advanced features we're going to show you today is how to start a listing in Matrix, but bring everything over that you have in Instanet into Matrix. Yeah, you heard me right. You can start a listing from this system in Matrix. When you're here on the agent dashboard, if you go to create a transaction, when you create a transaction, this box opens up and we can pull information from either Matrix or the tax system down here. So I'm just going to do a generic site here, or property here that we're going to list, just 100 Main Street. And I'm actually going to pull a 100 Main Street out of the tax records here in just a moment. If we had a template set for our listing docs, we could go ahead and grab that template. I'm just going to show you manually how to get the documents. the type of transaction we're doing. In this case, we're going to do a residential listing. And then the import source. You can either import from Netris or you can import from Real List Tax. So I'm going to go ahead and select Real List Tax there. When I do, it opens up some additional fields here, and it wants me to select my county. If you hit the first letter of the county, it'll take you to that first letter. And I'm going to click on Dallas County. And then I'm going to search for a property. This little magnifying glass over here to the right of the tax ID. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to allow me to search for a property. So I'm just going to look for 100 Main Street in Dallas County. There's going to be several of them because multiple cities have 100 Main Street. So I just selected the one in Richardson right here. Richardson 100 Main Street, just totally at random. I'm going to select that property and hit select, and it's going to fill in the information that it's going to pull from the Real List Tax system from this tax ID to create this transaction. And then the last thing you do is tell it what role you are playing in this transaction. So in this case, I am the listing agent. Now we're going to hit the create button in the top right hand corner, and it's going to start a transaction for us here, and we're in the transaction wizard. We're setting up the transaction. So it pulled all this information about the address, the city, the state, and all of the legal information and things down here directly from the tax records here. I could go in and fill in anything else I wanted to, but in this case I'm just going to keep the information that came over from the tax records. I'm going to hit the next button to go from step 1 to step 2. Step 2 is all the dates on a transaction. So the listing date, the expiration date, the offer date, all of that. So let's say we're going to put this property in MLS today, so August the 8th, and it's going to expire, just to make it easy, at the end of the year, so 12/31. Okay? I could put other dates in here, but just for now I'm going to do that. Then we're going to go to step 3. In step 3, it shows you your parties. So in this case, I'm the listing agent. The broker here is MetroTex, and the seller came over from the tax records. Okay? If I wanted to add additional people, anytime I'm on a page and I see this add button, I could add a buyer, another agent, or whatever I want to add there. Then I'm going to hit next again and go to step 4. This is our forms. This is where we're going to get our documents out of the library and add it to this transaction. So again, we've got our add button here, so we're going to hit add. It's going to pop up and show us our library. So there's MetroTex, there's TAR, and TREC. We recommend you don't open the libraries up. It's much easier to find things just by using the search box here in the top right hand corner. So I know that the listing agreement is form 1101. I can search by that form number, and right there is the TAR residential listing agreement. I would select that. When I select it, it puts it in the basket. So I've got one document in my basket, but I also want the data input sheet. When I say data input sheet, these are the different data input sheets that are in the system. There's one for each type of property that we could list in Matrix here. So we're going to get the residential data input sheet here. Click on it, and then of course we want you to use our seller's disclosure. So if we come back here and we go to MetroTex, down here at the bottom you're going to see the MetroTex seller's disclosure. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. I could get other things like request for mortgage information, request for homeowners information. Just to keep it simple, I'm going to get these 3 documents and hit add. When I add those, we're going to see here in the forms that we've got these documents added to this transaction. Then we're still in the wizard. Resist the temptation to start editing the documents right here. You're still in step 4. We need to go to step 5 to finish the wizard. When we go to step 5, this would be any documents that you want to add to the transaction that are not in the libraries. Maybe you have checklists, or your broker's giving you some special documents they want with transactions or whatever. You could hit the add button here, drill down on your computer, or go to your cloud systems and get the documents and add them to the transaction. In this case, it just has the fax cover sheet there that's a part of every transaction. So now I'm going to hit done. And now I've got my transaction created, got all the information about the details here, and I've got my forms added here. So I took the liberty before class today to fill out a data input sheet so that we wouldn't have to do it here in class. So I'm going to jump back over into my transactions. I'm going to go to the same 100 Main Street, but this one I went into the forms and filled out the residential data input sheet. If we click on that and we view it here, this screen flows just like the inputting of a listing in Matrix. It'll come up here in a second. Here we go. This is the residential data input sheet. So a lot of this information came over from the tax records, and then I added some. So I went in and put in the list price here. I added some amenities and some of the check boxes here just to show that this information is going to go over to Matrix when we upload this information. So this came from the tax records. I went through and added some rooms and dimensions and features on those rooms. So you scroll down through here, and any information that you put into this data input sheet here, you won't have to retype when we create the transaction over in Matrix. Okay? The trick here is once you've got your data inputted into the sheet, come up to File and hit Save. File, top left-hand corner, Save, Save. That saves your work into that document. But then we've got a new special feature up here. Upload listing. See that? Top right-hand corner of the page, Upload listing. Watch what happens when we do this. We click on Upload listing. It knows who I am from my roster. It just went into Matrix and created an incoming listing and assigned it an MLS number.
Wow, that's really cool. Is that the only form that you see that button on? Upload listing?
I think so. So, yeah. So we've got our data from the data input sheet, and it uploads it to the listing. So I'm going to jump over here to Matrix and show that it did it. So when I click into Matrix, we've got our home page here. We've got our documents across the top. If we go to Input on the tab, and we go to Select a listing, see that incoming listing right there? It starts with an I. There's my MLS number, 100 Main Street. When I click on it, it takes me to the Modify Listing. I go to the residential link here at the top. All of this information came over for us by doing the upload of that data input sheet.
That's going to save a lot of time.
A lot of time. You don't have to duplicate it. In the past, we've just had to fill that sheet out manually and then sit down at the computer and type the information off of that sheet onto the transaction here. But all of that you filled in over there in Instanet has now come over and created this transaction for you. So if you've been looking for a reason to buy a tablet, this might be a good reason to buy a tablet. Take it with you when you go to the listing appointment, when you're going to do your measurements and everything. Go ahead and type the information into this data input sheet, and before you leave, you can start your listing up in Matrix. Cool feature. Love that new feature that we have in Instanet.
Very nice.
So the trick was we created the transaction over here. We imported the information from the tax records. We got the data input sheet here and filled it in Instanet. Once we had it filled in, then we hit the upload listing in the top right-hand corner. Okay, so that is how you can start a transaction, a listing in Instanet and push it into Matrix. If we go back to our transaction desk here, there's some other neat advanced features you have here. I'm just going to jump in one of my play listings here, or play transactions. You can send things out for electronic signature with this system. When you're in a transaction, there's multiple ways to do it. On the right-hand side, you'll see the hamburger icon again. And unfortunately, I just hit it behind my little deal here. Let me move it out of the way. And you can open it back up. And this is the transaction wizard. You can drive the system from the wizard over here on the right, or you can drive it from the widgets out here in the center. If you click on forms and you click on one of these forms, it's the same as clicking on forms over here on the right. And when you click on forms, you'll see it out here in the middle. So let's say I'm going to do an in-person signing. In the classrooms, we teach you how to do a remote signing where you have someone sign documents remotely, sending it to them via email. But you can also use this system for an in-person signing. So let's say I've got a client that is coming into the office and I want to set up so that they can sign these documents while we're in the office. So while I'm here in the forms, if I click on, say, this seller's disclosure, when we click on the seller's disclosure, we'll see the form. I would fill out the portions that I need to and would let them fill out the portions that they need to there. But if I want to send it out for signature, there's multiple different ways to send it out for signature. When I'm in the form, here in the top right-hand corner is a sign. I could sign that. But if I was going to do more than one of the forms to be signed, then I would exit this once I filled out what I needed to. That would bring me back to my forms here, and I could select multiple forms to sign. And I just have some random forms here. There's nothing special about them or anything. Now I've got the forms in the basket right here by selecting them on the right-hand side. When I go to the basket at the top, I can send them out for electronic signature here. When I hit the electronic signature, it's going to pop up with a signing window here. And the first thing it wants you to do is name the signing. You could leave what's there. I'm just going to call this in-person signing. Okay, flows just a little bit different when you do it in person, and I'm going to show you here what you can do. This is the AuthentiSign product. There's two different types of signing. If you were sending out for electronic signature to your clients, you could do what's called a simul-sign. Simul-sign means whoever gets here first out of the people I'm sending it to can sign first. There's not a particular order. Sign in line means whoever I send it to as signer number one has to sign before signer number two can sign. I think we're probably going to use the simul-sign more here. Then it has some other advanced features. You can actually have the documents expire. If you don't sign it by this date and time, don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. Or reminders. You can send out reminders to who you've sent it to for them to sign there also. If we go from step 1 to step 2, this is where you're going to add your participants. So I'm going to add myself. As you can see, I'm on here multiple times because this is a play transaction, but I'm going to do a seller as myself here. I'm going to click on that, and then you choose what type of signing you're going to do. I think most of the time when we're using electronic signature, we're going to use remote signer, meaning we're sending it to them for signature to their email, and they would sign it without us being there. But it does have the feature of in-person signing. So I'm going to demonstrate that here to you. If you do in-person signer and hit add. When you click on add there, it's going to pop up and say, okay, are you sure you just want to send it to this one person? Yep, I'm sending it to myself as the seller, and I'm going to hit save. Hello. And anytime you see a red hand on a signing, that means I can't do what you're asking me to do. You click on that, and it brings up, it needs an email address here for the hosting. I'm going to put my email address, and I'm going to put a pin. If this was my seller and they had a different email address, you're not going to send it to them in this case when you're doing the in-person signing. You're going to send it to yourself. So I'm just putting in my work email address here. I've got it open. We can jump over there in just a second. And then you put a PIN. You're going to put the PIN in to show that you're in control of who's signing these documents later on. So I'll show you that. I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, 4 there. And I'm going to hit Save Participant. Now it says, okay, you can do it. It's again just confirming you only want to send out to this one person. I'm going to hit Save. And it says, okay, I can do what you want me to do. Then we're going to go to step 3. Step 3 shows the documents. If all the documents were created here in the system, they would have these little squares here denoting the initials and the signatures that were on there. If one of these was an uploaded PDF file that did not have them on there, then we're going to have a chance here in step 4 to add those to it. So now we're going to go to step 4, which is the design, and it's going to show us the documents. So these documents were created out of the forms library, and everywhere that there's an initial or signature for the clients to do, they're already set up. But if there was something else that needed to be added here, I can do that by making sure I have the person selected that is the signer in the top right hand corner, and then I click on drag and drop here and these little icons pop out. I can sign here or initial here. This system has something called an optional sign or an optional initial. In our case, we don't have optionals, but apparently other industries do. You can add check boxes and radio buttons and text boxes. So if I needed another signature on this form, I would just drag this out, put it where it belongs, drop it, and then I can tell it, do you want a date and time next to it or whatever. Very functional system here for you to use. Okay? Once you've got all of these done, that you've got the initials and signatures done, then you're going to hit next in the top right side of the box there, and it pops up and says, okay, I've finished the signing. Are you ready to send the invitation? If I needed to customize the email, I could do it down here, but otherwise I can just tell it, send the invitation. Okay? So now, since I'm in control, let's say my client's coming into the office and we want to accomplish this signing for them. I'm going to jump into my email and I'm going to refresh this. And we're going to see Authenticate Signing Host Invitation. Right here is what came to me here. I've got my broker logo set up on my roster. I've got my picture uploaded to the system, my contact information to the system. This is what the email looks like. So it's an in-person signing, and it's telling you what you need to do here. When the signer arrives, click on the image below to get started. Pass control of the device to the person that's going to be signing. Help them do whatever they need to do. And then once they're done, it's going to ask you for that PIN number, and you put the PIN number in to make it a secure signature that you witnessed them signing the documents. So my client arrives, I click on this icon. It opens up Instanet Solutions here for the signing. Brings up the documents. Again, it's telling me what to do there with those 3 steps. So I hit continue and I hand the device to the person that's going to be doing the signing. They can put in their email address, confirm your name, initials, and signatures, or their email address. So I'm going to type my email address in here. Okay? And then they can draw their own signature if they want. I'm getting to where I can kind of do my name with a mouse. It's not the prettiest, but it passes, okay? I don't think most people are going to do that. I'm going to hit clear and close and come back. I think they're going to select one of the fonts here that's close to what theirs is. My wife has a nice, pretty signature like that one. Mine doesn't even look as good as the bottom one, but I'll go ahead and select that one and hit save right there. And then I'm going to accept that I'm going to use this system to electronically sign. And it brings up the documents. They can review the documents, they can scroll down, and it draws their attention to these yellow boxes and the red words that they need to sign here. They click on it, sign, sign, initial, initial. See how it guides them through doing everything that they need to do here? So click on that, and it brings me back to that one that I missed. And I can complete the signing, or I can stay here and review. If I needed to reset it, I don't want to have all of my initials and signatures on here, I could hit the reset. I'm going to go ahead and complete the signing. And now it wants the signer to hand the tablet back to me as the realtor, or the device they were signing on. This is where I put the PIN number in that I did at the beginning of the signing there, to show, okay, I started this process, I witnessed it happening, now I'm proving you that I'm here, and I'm putting in that PIN number that I gave it, and complete. Okay? So almost done, blah, blah, blah. All right, so that's how you do an in-person signing rather than a remote signing. Okay? So you send the email to yourself, and then you're in control of the signing process as the client comes in. Like that, Heather?
I like that.
All right, let's talk about one other advanced feature. A lot of people are calling us right now about how do I host my IABS form and put a link to it in my signature. There was an article just recently in the Realtor magazine, Trex magazine, that they're going to start enforcing that rule. So you can do that with this system. So we're going to go back to our dashboard here. We're going to create a new transaction. We're going to create it, okay? All we're going to have on this transaction is an IABS form. So in the name here, I'm just going to name it IABS, which stands for Information About Brokerage Services and How Realtors Work with Buyers and Sellers in the state of Texas. So I'm not going to apply a template. I really don't care what type of transaction this is. I'm just going to say it's a listing. I'm not going to import any data, and it really doesn't matter what role I'm playing in this. I could do neither or both or whatever I want here. All I'm after is getting a document in this transaction that I can link to, okay? I'm going to uncheck the wizard. In this case, I don't need to go through all the steps in that wizard. And I'm going to hit create. It's going to create a transaction for us that's blank, has no information in it. What I'm after is adding the IABS form. So if I go over here to the right-hand side on the wizard, I click on forms. There's not any forms in here yet. But when I'm on the forms page, I'm going to hit the add button. When we hit add, it's going to bring up all the different forms that we could do here. I happen to know the IBS form is form 2501. Okay? There's two of them. The reason there's two of them is each side signs their own, right? In this case, we're not having it signed, so it really doesn't matter which one we do, because we're just going to be displaying it to whoever clicks on the link and looks and reads that document.
So they don't have to do both of them then?
No,
okay.
I'm just going to do one of them, okay? We're going to click on it. That adds it to the basket here, and we're going to hit add. That adds the IABS form to this blank transaction. So while the IABS form is here, we're going to click on it, and you're going to fill out the IABS form exactly the way your broker tells you to do it. Okay? There's depending on whether you have a designated broker or licensed broker, you have a supervisor, you could fill out this a lot of different ways. I'm just going to put some information in here so that we'll see that it holds it and carries that information over. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it here, but I'm just going to fill out some of these fields so that we'll see that this information carries over. Once you've got the document filled out correctly, the way your broker has told you to do it, then you're going to come up here, you're going to go to File, and you're going to come down to Save and Save. That saves your work in that IABS form. here is the trick to link to it. While you're in the form, come up to File, go down to Send, the second item from the bottom, and you're going to email this document. When you click on email, it gives you two choices at the top. You can send it as an attachment. That's not what we want to do. We want to send it as a link. This is going to put a link in the email for us to click on to go to that document. The link expires on, put it way out in the future, 12/31/2099. I'm not going to be here when that expires.
No, you will not.
So I'm going to make it expire way out in the future, and then I'm going to send the email to myself. Okay? So I'm just going to put in my email address here that we can jump over and see again here in a moment. And it really doesn't matter what I put in the subject or the text here. I'm just sending it as a link. So on this window, send as a link. When it expires way out in the future, send it to your email, and then we're going to hit the little check mark in the top right-hand corner. When we hit the check mark, it just sent an email to us. Now I can exit this, get out of the document. I'm back in the transaction. Now when I go back to my dashboard, we're going to see that we created an IBS form transaction there. I'm never going to delete it. I'm just going to let it sit there in the system. Then I'm going to jump over into my email, and I'm going to hit refresh here. And right here at the top, it says Transaction Desk Form Invitation. When I click on it, this is what I'm going to see. And down here is the information about brokerage services that I sent via email. When you click on it, this is the document that's going to show to your clients when they click on it. When I scroll down, there's our information that we typed in. What we're after is this link here at the top. We're going to copy that link, and then you're going to go to whatever your email system is. You're going to get into the email signature that can be added to emails there. You're going to type in the wording that Trek requires you to have. There's a particular sentence. If you Google it, IBS form hosting, I think is what I searched for there. There's a particular sentence there that they want you to have in that email signature. You would copy it off of their site, paste it in there, and then put this link underneath that sentence.
That's very nice.
That's how easy it is to host it in here. The trick was you sent a link to your email, you came to the document, you copied that link, and this is where you're going to be sending your clients to that filled out IBS form. A lot of people are just linking to the blank form on the Trek site. That does not fulfill the requirement. It has to be filled out with the contact information that your broker requires you to have. Any questions about that, Heather?
So to get that link, they just have to open the form once they receive that email. Correct. Okay.
Correct. In the transaction here, when they're in the IBS transaction and they have the document open, so I'm going back into it here on the transaction. When you have the document open, the trick is you file, send, email. And when you email it, making sure you send it as a link, not an attachment. And then when they receive that email, they click on the link, they go to the document, and that's where the document's being hosted. So you copy that link, and you can put it in your email signature. It would be impossible for me to demonstrate all the different email signatures out there, because there's Google, there's Outlook, there's Yahoo, Hotmail. All of them do it just a little bit differently. But once you get into the signature for the email, there should be a way to type the words in that you need and embed a link underneath it. There is one other thing that has come up. This link here is really long. It's got a whole bunch of characters. And I know at least Yahoo and maybe some other systems do not like that really long link. So here's what you can do for that. If you get an error that it can't accept that long link, go to Google and do Google URL Shortener. How do you spell shortener? Ah, there it is. Google URL Shortener.
There you go.
Right there. You come to this site and you can paste a link in here that you want shortened. It says your original URL is here. You paste that long link in there. You tell it, okay, I'm not a robot here. And you tell it, oh great, now what I got to do? Select all the squares with the street sign. So that one, that one, that one, that one. Verify. Okay. Now we're going to shorten the URL. And it just gave us this little tiny short URL that we would then paste into our email signature where we need the link.
That's much more manageable size.
Yeah. So this points to that long URL I had. So it would take them to this Google shortener URL. It's actually goo.gl/ and the unique identifier there. That's what you would put in the signature where it was not wanting that long one. It'll accept this really short one, and then when people click on that link, it goes to Google, and then it takes them to the site that they need to see, and right there's your document that it goes to.
Just another option, I know you can also use Tiny URL. I've seen that one as well.
Tiny URL is another one. This URL shortener here, when you go into your account on this, it actually tells you how many people have clicked on it and when they clicked on it. It does some tracking there for you too, so that you'll see that. Okay?
Very nice.
So that is another great tip there for using the IBS hosting on Instanet. All right, so if we come back into Instanet here, just to show you the AuthentiSign product again, the normal signing, how it works. It's very close to the in-person signing, but we're going to get into our transaction desk. When we come back to the transaction desk here, you'll see any transactions you're working on. If we go back to this 100 Main Street and click on the 100 Main Street here, you can get to signings multiple different ways. Here on your desktop, if you have a widget, there's an AuthentiSign Start Signing. You can start it there. You can come over to the wizard on the right-hand side, open it up. You can go to signings there. Or you can scroll down, and on your desktop, you may have a box here that says signings, and you can go to signings here. All of them do exactly the same thing for you. It's just how do you want to drive the system. So if we go to signings here, we can add a signing. Anytime you're on a page that has the add button, you hit add signing. You can give the signing a name. Maybe this is initial signing. Okay, I'm sending out to my buyer for the initial signing. And we hit save there. Then it's going to open up, and it takes you through the same wizard each time you go through a signing. So step one, I want to select the simul sign. Whoever gets there first can sign it. I don't want to do any expiration or reminders. I'm going to be hounding them to do it anyway, and they're probably excited about making an offer on the home anyway. They're not going to need reminders. We're going to go to step two, and then we can select our people to sign. So here I am as the listing agent or the seller. I could add a person here if I want to. In the top right hand corner, hit add. I'm going to add Rudy, my dog. Okay, add a new participant, and Rudy's a 12-pound Pekingese Shih Tzu Schnauzer that lays around my house all day and soaks up my AC. Gets all excited when I get home. And Rudy's email is rudydog.
Now, if you get your dog to sign this, that's pretty impressive.
I do lots of business with Rudy, I really do. Okay, so we've got his first name, last name, and email address, and then what role is he going to play in this transaction. So let's say he's a buyer, and he's going to be a remote signer. Okay, Then we're going to hit the add button, and that adds Rudy, my dog, here. Notice I do not have a red hand there. It's saying, okay, I've got his first name, I've got his last name, his email address, and the role that he plays in the system here. So he's ready to sign. I go to step 3, the documents, and I'm going to find the documents that he needs to sign. Well, you might know I got it on a listing rather than contract here. So I'm going to hit add, and I'm going to add a document. I could go lots of different places to add documents. I can go to this forms and documents here. I could select from my forms. I could go to select a transaction and another doc box here. I could go to my Google Drive, my Dropbox, OneBox, all these other accounts. I could upload a file from this computer, all these different things. So I'm going to upload a file from this computer, and I'm just going to find a PDF file here somewhere. Hopefully there's one here somewhere. This is an IT computer rather than mine, so gosh. Downloads, here we go. So there's something about a meeting packet. I'm just going to do that one and hit open, and it's going to upload that document to the system. Notice it does not have any yellow icons here. That means I'm going to have to add the initials and signatures to it. When I go to step 4, the design, that's when I'm going to have the opportunity to add those signatures to it. So this is some type of meeting agenda here. I'm going to scroll down. Maybe I need to initial at the bottom of this document. So I see my client over here in the top right-hand corner. I'm going to click on drag and drop, and I can drag an initial over where I need it to be on the document and drop it. Again, when I drop it, a little menu pops out. I can hit this gear. Maybe I need to add a date stamp or time stamp or whatever. I could add those features. In this case, I'm just going to put the initials there. I'm going to scroll on down. Maybe I need to initial here also, and initial the bottom of this page, drag it out. I find the placing of these initials and signatures much easier than some other systems. So if I go to sign here, I can drag the signature out, and then I can tell it add a date stamp, and it's going to put a date right there, but I can move it wherever I need it on the form. Maybe it's calling for the date to be up here, over there, down here, whatever. I can move that around and put it wherever the form requires it. So when the person signs this, it's going to record that date that they signed it. Once I'm done adding everything, I'm going to hit the next here on the top right hand side, and it's going to bring me to the sending the invitation here. I could send a generic invitation, or I could click down here to type something in the email if I wanted to. I'm just going to hit the send invitation, and boom. That's how easy the electronic signature is for your clients, okay, or for you to send it out to your clients. And it's very easy for your clients to sign. They just click on the link, they see the document, and you saw that demonstration there earlier. So that's how you use just the regular remote signing for your clients there.
Question, WJ, where is it that we can see when those signatures come in?
Actually changes right here. We're in the signings right now. This one says it's in progress right there. Okay. And this lightning bolt means it's in progress. Once they've signed, it'll say completed. I think it says completed right there. It's indicating that it's been completed.
I think it might say approved.
Approved. It may be approved, yeah. And then this changes to a little blue ribbon. So it gives you a picture indication, and it tells you what's going on there. Also, when they complete the signing, you get notified as the agent that the signing has been completed.
Very nice.
Just one more little basic thing. At the beginning of each of our classes, we show everyone how to set up their account. If you haven't gone into setup here, I'd highly recommend you do. Click on setup and come up to preferences. Setup preferences and go into the user information. This is where all your contact information is. If there's anything wrong here, it's probably wrong in our membership database. So I would contact membership, or you can go to My MetroTex and sign into your account and change the information there also. So you can come here and make sure that information is correct. If the office information is incorrect, you would have to contact someone in your office to get that changed. We would recommend that you put in an email signature when you're sending out the emails for signing and everything. This information is going to be at the bottom of that signing. And then on your branding, this is where you can put your logos and pictures and everything. Be careful about how big it is. It says it prefers this size. Even though it looks small here, is pretty big on top of an email. So be careful about how large these pictures are, because they can get out of control somewhat. The login down here, I would not change your email address here, or your login information, your password. You get into the system by signing in to Clarity or the Netris portal. Manager's password's back there, and you'll come into the system fine. You won't have to change your information here. One other thing to show you, something brand new under setup here, is iOS application settings. They now have an app for the iPhone. You can download the app here to use Instanet. They have not come out with a Android app that I've heard of here, but this is how you come in here and you set up your app, and you have the authentication codes and all of that. So that's brand new. I think it just came out in the last month or so there. So another great feature. They're continuing to improve this product there. All right.
Now, WJ, we did get a couple questions. I did answer, but there may be some other people online that may need to hear the answer.
All right.
I had a question on that form we had you fill, the input form. Can a client fill that out electronically? I don't believe they can do that. Unless, I guess, the tablet's with them in person. But
yeah, if you were there with them, yes, they could fill it out under your account. I have not seen any training on customers filling out forms. That's another one we need to get an answer for the seller's disclosure.
Okay.
We have requested that our seller's disclosure be fillable by the sellers, but I have not received word that that's happened yet. So when that happens, I'm sure we'll put word out to everyone.
Okay. And then I did get a question. Is this program, does it work with DocuSign?
I have not seen a way to turn DocuSign on in here. DocuSign is a fee service. In all of our classes, we teach the free ways, or the ways that you don't have to pay any additional money for. So AuthentiSign is what's there for that. Okay? Other questions?
Those are the only two we've gotten so far.
There was a comment, we probably don't want the customer filling out the data input sheet because we're responsible for that. I would probably agree with that, but there are forms that we do need our customers to fill out. What we will do is, once we have the answer for that, if there's a way to do it, we'll post a video on our YouTube channel. In fact, there's several videos about the Instanet product on there. The demonstration I just did for you about the IBS form hosting. We've got a concise version of how to use that and host that on our YouTube channel. Heather's been putting up MLS Insight videos on different things. So we're continuing to improve the content on our YouTube channel. So we would love for you to go there and visit that channel.
I did get one person who's asking, can you show how to just email a single form, not for signature, just emailing a form?
You would actually do what I did with the IBS there. So if I go back into Transaction Desk and I go to 100 Main Street, and if it's something that I'm not sending for signature, I'm just emailing it to them. When I go into, say, this seller's disclosure here, and I just want them to email it to them for them to see, while I'm in the document, you come up to File, Send, Email. File, Send, Email. When you click on that, you select what document you're going to send. So we're going to do the seller's disclosure here, and email. And this is, again, where you decide, do I want to send it as an attachment, or do I want to send it as a link? And then you would put their name and email address there. If you send it as a link, it's just going to open up in their web browser for them to see there. This is not how you send it for e-signature. This is just sending for them to view the document. If you want to send it for e-signature, Come on, how do I cancel? Cancel. There we go. Get out of this. If you're going to send it for e-signature, you can do the e-sign here, or the sign, or back out on your desktop, you can send it also.
Okay, let's see.
Just reading through the questions here. If a husband and wife have the same email address, that it gives the option to use a different PIN number. They don't actually put in a PIN number when they're signing. They put in a password to the system. I would highly recommend that you not let anyone use the same email address. I haven't tried it in this system. Most systems block that from happening. So I would do everything I could to get unique email addresses for each of them, so there's not any question about who signs on there. But when they come in clicking on that link, they sign the documents, and the last thing they do is provide a password for the system there. Okay, did you talk about the buyer will be able to sign this on his phone? Yes, they can use the full system, even without the app. They can use the full system to sign on their phones. The link will take them to the website in their web browser on their phone, so there's not any problem with that. And do they have to create an account or download any app? No, they do not have to download any app. It just opens up in their web browser. How would you use zip forms with this? Zip forms and Instanet are competitors, so you don't use zip forms with Instanet. I would recommend you live in one world or the other. Either in the zip forms world, use all of their functionality, or the Instanet world, use all of its functionality.
So we got to follow up on the PIN number. Where is it that they create that PIN number?
The customer doesn't create a PIN. They add passwords when they're signing. The PIN number came into effect when we were hosting the signing. So when we started the in-person signing, one of the things we had to do was put the host email, that would be the agent's email, and then we had to put a PIN number on that. And at the end of the signing, when the client has signed in person and the device is handed back to you, then you put that PIN number in and it proves you were there watching them while they were doing it.
Okay.
Okay.
We got another real interesting question. It says, I've noticed that when an agent sends a purchase contract signed and I need to execute it, I am unable to add the date. Instanet requires me to sign the document. Also, is that a glitch or did I do something wrong?
We actually have that problem in a lot of electronic signature products, zip forms. You have to manually put it in, and this one you're probably going to have to manually put it in also. One thing you could do, if you're the last person to send something out to be signed, and you're putting, say, your buyer's initials and signatures next to what's being changed, go ahead and put the date field of their signature in the execution field. And when they sign it, they're the last person to sign, and that date field would go over. So let me show you what I mean here. If we go out, I'll then assign here, and let's go into this initial signing. When we come here, we go, I must have to start a new transaction here. Hold on one second. Let's go to transaction desk, and I'm going to send something out on this one. I'm going to do the signings. I want to do add a signing, and this is going to be execution. Signing. Okay, and I'm going to hit save. It's going to step me through. I'm going to do a simul-sign. My participants, I'm going to click. I'm going to do, say I'm the seller here, hit add. Then I'm going to add the documents. Go to step 3 here. Oops, it wants my email address. See my little red hand there? It won't let me go any further. I'm going to have to put in an email address. Okay, and I'm the seller, so I'm going to hit save here. Then I'm going to go to my documents, and let's say, I don't know, we're just going to send one of them, but let's say this is the contract that we're needing to execute there. We're going to hit add. Then it's confirming I only want to send to this person. That's correct. And I'm going to go to design. And while I'm on design here, if I scroll down to where the signature is, see this date right here that's to the right of this signature? If I put that date wherever the execution date is required, right there, I put that date there, whenever this person signs, that date is going to fill in as my execution date. So I hit next, and I step on through the wizard here, send it to my client. So when they sign it, and they're the last person to sign, they're actually executing it when they sign it. So that's one way around it. The other way would be if you have it in a PDF format, you can always download it, put it into Adobe Acrobat, and on the right-hand side is a fill. You hit the fill, and you can type over the top of that execution date with the information there and save it. The signatures are already locked into the PDF file, so they won't fall off, and then you're typing on that final document there to execute it. So that would be two options there for you.
Okay, okay. And for those of you who heard my question earlier, how does it look like when something comes back approved? If you look at the screen, you'll see that ribbon there. That's
Right
what he
there.
was referring to.
Yeah, the approved status right there, and the little blue ribbon shows it has been completed. And you also get notified as the agent that they have signed when they do that, and it's your indication that you need to take the next step in the transaction.
Very nice.
All right, just time for one more question here. Any other questions? Since all of our files are in zip forms, can we import those files? Again, these are competitive systems. Instanet doesn't link to zip forms doesn't link to Instanet. Now you could download the PDF files out of either system and put it in the other system. I don't know that it's going to be worth that amount of time to do that, so I don't see that happening. I would live in one world or the other. Pick a product that you like and live in the Instanet world or live in the zip forms world and use the functionality of those systems. You have access to both of them for free, so you can use any system you want. All right, guys, well, we have enjoyed the webinar today. We hope that you have. I would point you to our website. If you go to mymetrotex.com, and here in the top center is courses and events. When you click on that, it's going to bring you to our electronic calendar. If you come over here on the left-hand side and you just click on MLS, you'll find all of our MLS classes here. We teach 2 classes on Instanet now. The first one is the Introduction to Instanet. We highly recommend you take that one first. And then Advanced Instanet goes over some of these features that we've talked about here today. We've got all of our MLS classes, our RPR classes. All of our MLS classes are free to members, so we highly recommend that you take advantage of these classes there. We teach them in all of our different service centers around the Metroplex. So we've got service centers in Grapevine, Louisville, Richardson, Garland, Duncanville, and then our main office here in Dallas. So we look forward to having you on our next webinar next month, so be watching for that on the calendar. And everyone have a great day, and be careful out there.
Thank you, guys.